When Bram Stoker first penned Dracula, he barely could have guessed the kind of legacy he was creating by birthing the concept of vampires. Well, at least a quintessential one. From this point on, pop culture has often sought inspiration from his work to create all kinds of supernatural entities, ranging from the Cullen family in Twilight to more underrated vampires such as Count Orlok from Nosferatu. However, today we will bring this character back into the spotlight and explore his origins and anatomy. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Exploring the origins of Count Orlok. Count Orlok was first introduced in the classic 1922 silent horror film Nosferatu, a symphony of horror, where Max Schreck did true justice to this antagonizing character. His origins were shrouded in mystery, but there were several theories to suggest that Count Orlok was brought into existence by Belial, the lieutenant demon of Satan. This was also implied in the verse, "By the seed of Belial sprung Nosferatu," which further confirmed his origins as a demon spawn. Orlok was typically known for residing in a deteriorating castle hidden in the nooks of the vast Carpathian Mountains, but he moved to the fictional city of Wisborg in his first appearance in the film. As the movie progressed, Orlok hid himself in a soil-filled coffin that was loaded onto a ship traveling to Wisborg. While he managed to kill almost every single person on the ship, the captain and the first mate survived for the most part of the journey. Eventually, the first mate decided to investigate the deaths, and Orlok took this opportunity to kill him as well before finally killing the captain. Orlok finally set foot in Wisborg in disguise, but he still failed to camouflage the scent of death and destruction that lingered around him. While he settled down in a ruined castle in the mountains, he successfully spread so much disease and plague that the town authorities had to declare a quarantine while the citizens went into a frenzy. In fact, Orlok was so evil that the local townspeople refused to set foot near the place, except for one young man named Thomas Hutter. Hutter worked for a real estate agent and mustered the courage to visit the castle to show some properties for sale. However, Orlok's eyes were set on Hutter's stunning wife, Ellen, which eventually led to his downfall. While he managed to get his hands on Ellen, Orlok got too caught up in drinking her blood and ended up dying after being exposed to the first rays of the rising sun. Exploring Count Orlok's anatomy. How did Count Orlok's physical appearance reflect his supernatural nature? Orlok appeared as a tall, balding vampire who typically wore a long hunting coat with a vest that covered his entire body. He had a dreaded, nightmarish look about himself, and in typical vampire fashion, he had elongated fangs and sharp nails, much like the claws of an eagle. He had a gaunt figure, and his face consisted of pointed ears, thick, bushy eyebrows, huge eyes, and sculpted cheekbones that gave him a half-human and half-demonic appearance. Orlok typically wore a bulky overcoat and a feathered hat when he needed to disguise himself, but none of these clothes could truly help him hide his terrifying stare that was enough to send chills down one's spine. Undying life. Does Orlok truly live forever? In most appearances, vampires have been portrayed as undying beings who continue to live on for hundreds and thousands of years. However, they do seem to have some weaknesses, ranging from sunlight to garlic or metals such as silver. In the very first portrayal of vampires by Bram Stoker, vampires were said to be immune to sunlight as well, but things have changed in recent times. In movies, vampires can typically be killed by targeting their weaknesses, and Count Orlok was no exception to this trend. At the end of Nosferatu, Orlok spent an entire evening with Ellen and eventually ended up burning in the sunlight. The ending suggested that he could no longer exist, which made it safe to conclude that Orlok did not live forever, at least in the film adaptation. While his body turned into a pile of ashes and fire at the end, he was supposed to be an immortal being owing to the fact that he literally rose from the dead. After Belial brought him back to life, Orlok remained an immortal being who could sustain himself as long as he drank blood, and his death was quite an unfortunate and unexpected incident. Was the Count stronger and faster than a mere mortal? As an extension of his vampire physiology, Count Orlok was blessed with superhuman strength and speed. He could move around at a much faster rate than humans, which helped him sneak up on his suspects and capture them before they even had a chance to escape. At any point in the film, Count Orlok could be seen moving at an unnatural pace, a detail captured by speeding up the footage to give the illusion of speed on the big screen. Did Orlok ever get tired, or was he a tireless monster? While the movie did not shed light on this, Orlok's vampire origin suggested that he was capable of going on for long hours without feeling tired. His body did not seem to produce fatigue toxins like humans, and he could go on without food, water, or sleep without feeling tired. While Orlok may have needed to feed on blood to keep himself going, he did not require rest the same way as humans, and he most certainly was a tireless monster. Can Orlok lurk within the shadows, appearing and disappearing at will? Orlok was well known for moving around sneakily, and he also had the ability to vanish from sight. In a couple of scenes from the film, Orlok turned invisible in plain sight, leaving his victims or opponents in utter confusion over his existence. In one of these instances, Orlok embarked on a journey to Wisborg on a ship where he concealed himself from a sailor by using this ability. He was often described as a creature of light and shadows, which further emphasized his ability to lurk in the darkness and appear at will. Hypnotic power. How did Orlok bend others to his will? Given his supernatural background, Orlok seemed to be able to bend others to his will. He displayed this ability when he came across Nock, an estate agent in Wisborg, and then hypnotized him into following his orders. His brainwashing was quite effective, and he managed to make a loyal minion out of Nock with his deadly stare. Orlok also had some telepathic and telekinetic abilities which further allowed him to bend others to his will. Can he shapeshift? As a direct result of his superhuman physiology, Count Orlok was blessed with a biological ability to shapeshift into any being. He was often spotted as a werewolf, and he took on this disguise so often that the locals even referred to him as a wolf instead of a vampire. This ability was inspired by several folklore tales surrounding vampires, wherein these creatures often transform into bats, wolves, or other creatures of the night. It is also said that they can transform into any being that can be controlled, but bats and wolves remain to be their most common form. This further supported the idea that Orlok could turn into a werewolf, as this would also help him hunt his prey more efficiently. Marvelous verdict. To wrap things up, Count Orlok was one of the most fascinating portrayals of vampires in fiction, and he has remained to be an iconic even though he was introduced decades ago. He had a wide range of abilities that were characteristic of vampires, along with some unique abilities of his own, and we hope you had fun exploring his origins and anatomy with us on this video. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.